Hi everyone, welcome back. I hope you're all doing well. Today's video is going to be how to make one of these really pretty beaded bracelets. And wow, the flash is really making this one glow. Let's see if I can get it to kind of... Oh wow, it really glows with the flash. But anyway, these are just transparent green beads. But wow, that's a cool effect. Oh, there we go. So that's what that one looks like. This one is really nice. I used these copper beads. This is my favourite. It's all silver, different shades of silver. So I think it's a nice kind of fancy bracelet to wear. And this one, so pretty because I use these faceted beads, so it really sparkles. So today I'm going to show you how to make one of these, so let's get started. So to make one of these you're going to need some 6mm beads, which are these blue ones here that run down the middle, and they need to be round. You can do round like these, like pearls, or these are kind of faceted round beads, that will still work as long as they're round. So I'm going to use 6mm pearls for this one. You'll also need some round 4mm beads, like these ones here. So I'm going to be using some little clear blue kind of beads. You will also need some size 11 seed beads, and this goes all the way down the edge. Pick a colour that you want to have the most of around the edge, and that's size 11 seed beads. You'll also need your clasp, your thread. I'm using 6 pound fire line in crystal, and a beading needle. And you do need quite a lot of thread. In almost all of these bracelets I had to add extra thread halfway through because I ran out. Can't really figure out how much you need, so it does take a lot of thread, just bear that in mind. Let's get started. So thread your needle, and then you're going to pick up a 6mm round bead, a size 11 seed bead, another 6mm, and then one of your 4mm beads. So this is what you're picking up: 6mm, size 11, 6mm and 4mm. And then you're going to slide those down and leave about an 8-inch tail. That's so that you have enough at the end to add the clasp at that side, because the way this bracelet works, you're going up and down it quite a lot, and when you get to the last part your working thread's going to be at the opposite end, so you're going to use your tail thread to add the clasp. So slide those down to there, and then you're going to sew through the first round bead, sorry. You might not be using a pearl. So you've got this little group like this. Now I'm going to move through the size 11 seed bead and the next 6mm bead. Like that. So we have this. This time I'm going to pick up a size 11 seed bead, a 6mm bead and a 4mm bead. So size 11, 6mm, 4mm. You're coming out of the 6mm on this side, you're going to go back into it through the other side of the bead. Like that. So you have this second little group. Now we're going to do the same thing we did on the first one. We're now going to move through the size 11 bead and through the 6mm as well. Pull it tight, and when you pull it tight, use your thumb to push that last 6mm bead right up next to the one next to it, otherwise it gets loose in here as you go along, so make sure you pull that tight. Now you should have this. Now we're going to do the same again, picking up a size 11, a 6mm and a 4mm, and going back through that one that we're coming out of on the opposite side. So that you have this. Now you're going to move through the size 11 and the 6mm. Now we have this, and we're going to do the same again. So I'm going to show you one more time. So you're going to pick up, every time you're going to be picking up a size 11 bead, a 6mm round bead and one of your 4mm beads, and then you're going back into that 6mm that you're coming out of on the opposite side. It's going to create this little group, and then you're going to move through the size 11 seed bead and through the 6mm bead. Pull it tight every time, make sure you pull it tight every single time so it doesn't loosen up. And now you have this. And so you need to keep doing that until you get to the length that you need for your bracelet, and keep going, and bear in mind that when we do the following step it will shrink just ever so slightly. So once you get to the length you think you need, it might be worth adding like one more little group of these beads here, just add in one more little group because it does shrink slightly. So get to the length that you need, carry on doing that same step over and over, and then I'll show you what to do next. So I've gone all the way along and got it to the length that I need, and so you might be finishing like I am, like this, where you've got the two round beads at the bottom and the 4mm at the top, or you might be finishing like this, where you've got the round bead at the bottom and then the little 11-0 at the top. It doesn't matter which way you're finishing. If you're finishing like I am here, so if it sits like this with your working thread coming out the top here and you've got this bead next to you, the 4mm, you're going to go through there. So you're coming out this 4mm. Now if you're finishing like this here and you're coming out of this bead here and you've got the 11-0 next to you, just go straight through the 11-0, and then what we're going to do now is add 2 seed beads from here to the 11-0 and then 2 more from the 11-0 to the next 4mm. So if you find yourself coming out of this 11-0 to start with, just add 2 seed beads until you're coming out the next 4mm. So I'm going to pick up 2 size 11 seed beads coming out of this one. I'm going to go into that next 11-0, just there. So we've got this, picking up 2 more, and I'm coming out of the 11-0 now. I'm going to go into the next 4mm, and we're working along, just along the top this time. So now you should have this. Now I've got a little gap each side, but that's okay. If you find that you've got a huge gap like that each side, then you can add 3 seed beads each side instead of 2. You'll just have to work that out. Sometimes it does depend, even though we're using like 6mm, 4mm beads, it does depend on the brand of your seed beads. Sometimes they vary just slightly enough to make a difference. And even though they're all like supposed to be 6mm, 4mm, they do just vary just slightly sometimes. It's just like with the way that the hole, like these have flat sides and these are like round. It all just depends. So if you find that you're having too much gap between these beads when you lie it down like this, when you're holding it up you're going to have big gaps because it's like spread out, but you need to lie it down and see if you've got like too big of a gap, and then you can add 3 beads each time instead of 2. Okay, so I'm going to hold it this way now. So then I'm going to pick up 2 more size 11 seed beads. I'm coming out of the 4mm, I'm going to go into the next size 11. Picking up 2 more and going into the next 4mm bead. Picking up 2 more size 11s and going into that next size 11 seed bead. Make sure you don't get caught. Picking up 2 more and going into the next 4mm bead. And that's what you need to do right until you get to the end of this first side, and then I'll show you what to do next. So I've gone all the way along and I'm just at the end here, and you'll finish either by just going through your last bead. Will either be one of these 4mm or a size 11, so I'm just picking up 2 and going through the size 11. Okay, now don't pull it tight or it will all bunch up because it's one-sided at the minute. And so just keep the tension like loose so that it stays straight. And then you're going to go through that end 6mm bead. I'm going to turn it round. So now again you'll either be here, you'll either have an 11/0 to go through or a 4mm. So go through either one of those, and then you're going to get started again, and you're going to go back up the other side doing the same thing. So I'm going to pick up 2 size 11s, go through this 11/0, 2 size 11s, go through the 4mm. I'm going to do that all the way up the other side. So I've gone all the way along, and this time last bead was just this 11/0 that I've gone through. Now if you watch what happens now, if yours is like mine and you've got these gaps like here, but there actually wasn't, I tried it and there wasn't enough space to put 3 beads each side, then it like the bead, there was too many beads, it kind of bunched up, it didn't look right. So I've still got gaps, so watch what happens if I pull it tight now. It does this, so it goes all wonky, so I'm just going to pull it straight so it's flat like this, and that's how I'm going to keep my tension, so I'm not going to pull it any tighter than that at any point, and that's just going to make sure it stays straight and flat. So that's what you can do if you've got these little gaps but not enough to put a bead in between. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go back down each side again, so that's why I said you needed quite a lot of thread for this. So you're going to go through that bead on the end again. If any time you forget and you do pull it tight, you can just straighten it back out again, and it will be fine. And then you're going to go through the first bead, whether that's a size 11 or a 4mm. If it's a size 11 that you're starting with, you're going to go through the size 11, the 2 seed beads after that, the 4mm, and the first size 11 after that. So if your thread's coming out this side and you've got one of these size 11 beads first, you're going to go through these beads like this. So through the size 11, through the 2 that connect them to the 4mm, and then through the one after that. If yours is like mine and you're coming out this side with a 4mm right next to you, then you're just going to go through the 4mm and the 11/0 right after it. Now you're going to pick up 3 11/0s. You're going to go into the one next to the next 4mm, so this one here. So you're coming out of this one, you're going to skip those 3 and go through the 4th one and through the next 4mm and the one after that. So you're going through that seed bead, the 4mm, and the seed bead after that as well. Okay, so then you've got this. Okay, we're going to do the same thing again, so picking up 3. You should be coming out the seed bead after the 4mm. You're going to go into the seed bead right in front of the next 4mm, through the 4mm, and through the first size 11 after it. So you have this. Show you one more time. Picking up 3 size 11 seed beads, coming out this one here, skip the 3, go through the next one, which is right next to the 4mm, through the 4mm as well, and through the first size 11 seed bead on the other side. And then you have this. So again, you're going to do that all the way along till you get to the end. Okay, so when I get to the end, I'm going to go through the 4mm and the one after it like always. So I'm coming out here, now I'm just going to go through these 2 size 11s and through the bead at the end, the 6mm. So now we have this and one side's completed. So you need to be coming out the 6mm bead at the end, and then you're going to, like before, you're either going to be passing through the 3 size 11 seed beads like this. You're either going to be passing through 3 size 11 seed beads, a 4mm and the one after it, or if it's the same as mine, you're just going to go through the 4mm and the one after it. So then you're going to carry on doing this up the other side, so picking up 3, going through the one before the 4mm, the 4mm and the one after the 4mm. And again you're going to do that all the way along this second side, and then I'll show you how to add the clasps. Okay, so here I am, I'm just doing my last little group of 3, going through that one before the 4mm, the 4mm, and then all those 3 after it because we're at the end. Now I have this, again I'm not going to pull it too tight because it's going to do that, so I'm going to straighten it out. And if yours is like mine and if you pull it tight and it bunches up, before you add your clasp, you might want to do what I'm going to do, which is straighten it out and hold it tight so that it can't bunch up, like hold it straight. And then I'm going to tie just a single knot here, making sure I'm holding it with my other hand so that it doesn't bunch up. As the knot tightens a little bit, make sure it's still straight, perfect. And that's going to give you a bit of freedom so that when you're adding your clasp, you're not worried about it bunching up all the time. So now I'm going to pass through this 6mm bead on the end. I'm going to pick up 3 size 11 seed beads, and then the first half of my clasp, doesn't matter which way you pick it up because this bracelet is the same both sides, so it's double-sided. And then 3 more size 11 seed beads, and you're probably wondering why I'm using a copper clasp when I'm using like hematite, gunmetal seed beads. It's because I've run out of these gunmetal clasps. I need to get some more, so I'm just using this one because you don't really see it much anyway. So I'm coming out here and I'm going to go through that 6mm bead on the other side. So we have this. Now I'm going to go back through all those beads that we just added and the clasp. I'm going to do that a couple of times. Make sure it's tight, because this is the part that gets like pulled at and wobbled and used the most, so I want to make sure that that's really secure. Forgot to say, it's a bit late now, but when you're picking what size 6mm beads that you're going to use, be careful of the size of the hole. These ones that I did here, don't know if you can see how big the hole is on that these size 11 seed beads kept getting lost inside, and it took me ages to do this because they do get secured, the size 11 beads, like later on, but when I was doing the first part and it's just that one single size 11 bead, it kept getting sucked inside. So just bear that in mind. So yeah, once you've done that, then all we need to do is tie off your working thread. So I'm going to take my needle under this little group of threads here, pull it down, go through that loop 2 times, And again, when I pull it tight, I'm just going to hold the bracelet flat and straight in my hand so that it doesn't bunch up. There we go. And then I'm going to travel on, tie some more knots and then cut my thread, and then we'll do the other half of the clasp. So for the other half of the clasp, it's the same thing. So you're coming out of the 6mm bead. Oh, sorry, I forgot to say I've threaded my needle on my tail thread, which should be coming out of the 6mm bead at the opposite end. Picking up 6 size 11 C beads. The other half of my clasp, which is actually just a jump ring, and going back into that bead on the other side. Circle through these quite a few times just so that this jump ring doesn't slip off. That's why I like to use split rings most of the time, but yeah, I'm going to circle through that a load of times and then tie off my thread, and then we're finished. So we did it, so that's the finished bracelet, and I actually really like how this one turned out. And it's funny because I'd made all the others and then I wanted one for the video that had like quite a bright, like opaque colour for the main bead so that you could see it easily. And I was going through all my collection realising that I need way more 6mm beads and 4mm beads. So these were kind of like all I had left that I hadn't already used in the other ones. And I didn't think I was going to like it, but I thought like, oh, it's okay, it's just for the video. But I actually really like it. What do you think? So yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. Let's bring the other ones back in. And I hope you found it helpful and you're able to make one of these really pretty bracelets. You could make it like casual, kind of beachy with the pearls, or you can make it really dressy with the crystals. They're all silver. You could do like white pearls and white beads like lace. It'd be like really bridal. That would be really nice. Let's bring in these. That's amazing, I love that. I'm easily amused. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video, found it helpful, and comment down below what else you'd like to see. And let me know what other beads you use. If you manage to use bicones or anything like that, let us know in the comments so that everyone else can figure out what they want to try it with. And follow me on Instagram at Beading by Hannah, and subscribe here to see more of my videos and like this video if you enjoyed it. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Bye!